Hey, what is going on, everybody? Aaron here from Break the Internet, and welcome back to another video today on the channel. Now today, guys, we're going to be jump-starting an old series that I used to have on the channel, and it's called Talking with Snappers. It's an interview series where I bring in Snapchat storytellers, influencers, celebrities, and figure out a little bit about their background, as well as some tips and tricks from them that have helped along their Snapchat journey. So these are people that have grown followings, that have been using Snapchat for months, and even that years, and know the ins and outs, the ups and downs of Snapchat. So my first guest today, or technically my second guest, is ProducerKCM, aka Kyle Coughlin, aka one of the most upbeat and entertaining guys you'll meet on Snapchat, besides me, of course. Just kidding. His code will be on screen right here. Pause and take a screenshot because you're going to want to follow this guy, and all of his information will be down in the description of this video as well, the entire video. Anyway, guys, enjoy Talking with Snappers, episode number 2. Hope you guys enjoy. Alrighty, guys, so we are jumping into the interview here. ProducerKCM, super happy to have him on here. I mean, I've known this guy for a pretty long time, and if you guys follow me on Snapchat, you've seen that we've done a collaboration or two together, and saw him at South by Southwest, did a little takeover of his account. We kind of just did like a swap, Snapchat swap, but I'm going to go ahead and give the mic to you, man. I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, maybe stuff that you've done a little bit before Snapchat, and also just kind of leading into that.
First and foremost, Aaron FPS, thank you so much for having me on your awesome, amazing YouTube channel. Appreciate it, good sir. Hey everybody, my name's Kyle Coughlin, ProducerKCM on Snapchat. I make funny and creative, entertaining Snapchat stories for the masses. I love what I do. I love making people laugh and smile. That is what I'm all about. I want to make the world a better place, as cliche as that sounds. That's what I'm all about.
I mean, so yeah, that's a great Snapchat goal.
Yeah, you know, I just try to, you know, make people smile, and if I can make one person smile, that's good enough for me. So that's what I'm all about.
Yeah, so I mean, we were kind of going by a couple questions that I have written down, but I know, sure. I mean, ProducerKCM, like, where did that come from? Obviously, you're a music producer, but do you do that like full time? Like, tell them a little bit about where kind of the name came from and what you do with producing music.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for asking that question, Aaron. So it started off back in last June, actually, and I quit my job that I was managing a Verizon wireless store for about 5 years, and I've always been into music for my whole life, and I always wanted to do the whole songwriting thing professionally, so I was like, okay, let's get this started. Let's start doing music full-time as much as I can. So I quit my job with a general plan in place, and from there, I created KCM Productions, LLC, so it's a professional legal entity based in Minnesota. Okay. And kind of where my username came from was from Kyle Coughlin Music. And then I changed it to Kyle.
Gotcha. Like, I figured that's what it was, but I never, like, yeah. I don't know why I haven't asked you for, like, as much as I've known you. Like, but that's funny. That's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But then, like, once I started creating my my LLC, I kind of needed to generalize that a little bit more, because then I started doing video content. So I was like, okay, well, what's more general than music? Okay, media. So figured that still, you know, stood the same for the acronym is concerned. So I figured Kyle Coughlin Media. So when I created my username, it was specifically designated towards music. But now that I'm getting into producing more video and visual content, figured, hey, you know, I think that'll work both ways here.
Awesome.
So
yeah, so
that's kind of how it
started kind of like throw that question at you, but
no, it's all good.
So Break the Internet, all about Snapchat. We're gonna get into some Snapchat questions. So
sure.
I mean, we learned a little bit about you, but I want to kind of figure out what was one of the first times that you either interacted with Snapchat, used Snapchat. I mean, a lot of people that I've talked to kind of like starting out, it's like for friends and family. I don't know if you had like kind of a different start with Snapchat, but what was the first time you got into it? What did you think of when you first started using Snapchat? And also, like, what was your intent with the app? Like, were you always wanting to make stories for an audience, or was it kind of just like a personal thing?
No, honestly, I had a personal account before doing all this, and I started up my ProducerKCM account after I quit my job and wanted to do you know, music full time. So I was like, okay, what a great way to spread my music was through Snapchat, and then share those stories on my other platforms, and, you know, yada yada yada. But then it started turning into a lot different types of content because I didn't want to do music every day on it. I wanted to show maybe part of my life. And then I started getting into themes and fictional skits, and I got more feedback actually from those than my music at times. I mean, I still get awesome feedback from my music stories, but now it's turned into more just these skits and these themes, more than the music. You know, I still do Super Song Sunday every Sunday, write a song from scratch, get people to name it, which is a ton of fun. But that's definitely like my original music theme I started off with when I first started doing it. And honestly, it was just to show prospective clients, you know, my songs I've written and stuff. It was mostly designated to like business to like musician. Like, here are my songs, potential artists or bands that may want to, you know, use them. Essentially, that's kind of why I started it off. So,
okay.
yeah.
And kind of, yeah, like kind of going into the same thing. You were talking about your skits. I know you have like the Super Song Sunday. You have the Act This Out. Like that's, I mean, you've got everyone incorporated in that in South by Southwest. I thought that was a lot of fun. Also with like the Act That Movie, or no, what is it? Guess That Movie Monday.
Yep.
So we have all those things. And while we're like kind of talking about the skits, you have this character. And you kind of started off like the whole episode like that. Hey everybody, we were making or I know every time I saw you at South by Southwest, I was just like, hey everybody, because it's like this awesome character, and it's not something that you put on because I mean, just talking to you, you're like a really like kind of upbeat, like happy person. So where did that come from? Like, is it kind of just like almost not really like an over exaggerated version of yourself? Because I kind of do the same thing. Like when I get on Snapchat, or I always want to be more upbeat, I want to be a little bit more enthusiastic because people like to watch that. Was it kind of just like it just came with doing Snapchat and these different skits and it kind of came out, or was it something that was a little bit more planned?
Well, at first it was planned. I used to actually like storyboard a lot of my stories because I didn't really know how to write stories when I first started off doing this. So I would actually write scenes and stuff. And then as time went on, I got rid of that because it seemed too forced and it didn't seem authentic. And my viewers could tell too as a result. I just wasn't getting great feedback. But that kind of started me off like getting used to the idea of planning a general idea out for the day, which I still do now. But a lot of the times I just wing it. I just have a general idea and then just kind of write it as I go, which is what I do a lot with music. A lot of improvisation techniques I use in music, I actually use in story creation as well. You know, you have a general idea, and then you just kind of break that down into its subparts and just kind of go from there. But yeah, it's been quite the evolution since I first started doing it. Like to this day, I would not have viewed myself as like a storyteller, if you will, from when I first started off. In no way did I think I'd have the audience that I do now than when I first started off either. You know, I was kind of striving for like kind of small time local musicians around Minneapolis, who I wanted to market to for music. But then it's just kind of blown up into something completely different. So I think that answers your question.
Yeah. No, and it's funny because like my experience with Snapchat has kind of been like the same thing. Like I always wanted to be like more local and kind of like centralized in this area and like just a way to contact like friends and family and stuff like that. But it's like when I first started, I was doing like kind of like vlog style, and then now it's definitely more planned out, more curated content, which I feel like my audience likes a little bit more, just because it's not always like all over the place, and it's not like here's me doing this, here's me doing this. There's actually like a story behind it. Not saying anything against people that do that kind of stuff because they can actually tell stories that way. I'm not that great at it. But talking about like different audiences and stuff like that, do you find yourself like, how is it creating for an audience? Because I know like if you're doing something more personal, you can put, you don't have to be as, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but as like kind of bottled up. Like do you find creating for an audience, you kind of have to do things a certain way and make sure you don't do certain things, or like kind of go along with that? Like what do you find is the way to do things as far as creating content for an audience?
Sure, yeah. Great question, Aaron. So I definitely am very, at least I like to think I'm very logical when I do my stories. You know, as I mentioned before, I like to have a general schematic. It's kind of like a pyramid. You know, kind of start from the top, a general theme, and then you can just kind of break that down from there. And I always try to visualize it before I actually do it as well, to make sure it makes sense in my head before I actually do it out. And I like to use a lot of like basic filming techniques like previs or pre-visualization, like actually act out a lot of the scene before I do it and stuff. Just kind of get a good feel of it and to actually do it. But for the most part, it's out pretty much in the moment as I'm doing it. But you know, there's a lot of pressure behind making sure the story actually makes sense and then that it's actually relative to what I'm doing. That is, you know, where a lot of the pressure, I guess, comes from, especially now that, you know, I do have a large audience. I want to make sure I'm not wasting people's time with a story that doesn't make sense, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So that's really important to me that all the stories logistically make sense. Like you can connect all the dots and you can really understand the content that's being, you know, told from from a story perspective. Because I don't want people to be confused, you know, by the end of it. I want them to understand it, and I really do hope that people do follow them. And based upon the comments I get, it looks like for the most part people follow. You know, I just try to make the stories as simple as I can and as entertaining and creative as I can as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and like, and with Break the Internet being kind of like a tip channel, like I think that's a really good tip to kind of like throw out at somebody is if you're trying to be like everyone's like, how do I become a storyteller? How do I find my storytelling style? Like that's the thing. Like you have to kind of be yourself, and I think Kyle's done a really good job at that. Is like kind of starting at the beginning and keeping his like same style, like starting off with the music and found something that worked, but also staying authentic and making these stories that make sense to your audience. And I think that's really cool. What you've done is like actually making sure that the audience knows what you're talking about, and that's a really big part of storytelling is being able to do these different kind of things, but also keep like this story. Like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I think that's a really good tip as far as how to become a storyteller. Not only be yourself, but make your story make sense. Like I find myself lots of times like I'll make a story and like every couple of snaps I'll watch it back to make sure like just those three go together. Yep. And then like I'm like, well, does this make sense? Like what would make the most sense and what would, because we're dealing with these audiences, so it's like, oh yeah, there's, I mean, however many people there are, it's like that there's like 3 or 4 people that may be completely confused, and you try to put that number down as much as you can. So, I mean, talking about the tips, you've been doing Snapchat for a long time. Give the audience, I mean, like I said, Break the Internet's tips, tricks for Snapchat, how to better yourself on Snapchat. Maybe throw out like a couple tips that you would say, let's say 2 tips for someone that's just getting into Snapchat, and 2 tips that for more like advanced users that are trying to not only build an audience but become a better storyteller. I know we touched on like 1 or 2, but sure, a couple more from you.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one, absolutely. Continue watching Aaron FPS, aka Break the Internet's videos. I've been watching them like crazy, and I've actually learned a lot of my storytelling techniques from Aaron's channel. So continue watching Aaron's stuff. It is perfecto. So thank you, Aaron. You're welcome. Well, it's well deserved, man. You create awesome content on here, and it shows.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, I mean, as far as like entry level people, you know, we've kind of scratched the surface. You know, it's all about authenticity. I've written a ton of blogs on just being yourself, being authentic, and not forcing your content, you know? Making content that's relevant to you, to your personality. What are you interested in? What are you passionate about? Start off with that, because the moment you strive away from something that you're forcing, your viewers can tell. You know, people can sniff out fakeness, if you will, on Snapchat, more than any other channel I've really used. It's because it's so personal. It's right there in your face. You know, it's all about the body language too. You know, you can really tell when someone's really forcing or faking something because a lot of the communication is through your body language. So as a result, your viewers know when something's kind of amiss here, or you're not really 100% in it. Your heart's not in it. You know, as long as your heart's in the story, your viewers will mirror that as well. So that's the biggest thing. Your heart's got to be in the content that you do, and it's got to make sense for you personally, and you got to have some kind of like history with whatever you're telling, some kind of experience in whatever you're trying to tell. So I guess that would be the biggest tip I could give to someone. And then as far as like advanced people, if they really want to take up their storytelling to the next level, you know, start creating themes every day for your stories, whatever that may entail, whatever that's relevant to in your life. whether it's music or video or acting or anything really. If you run a professional business, start doing themes around your business. Start categorizing each part of your business that you have and splitting it up into its particular parts. Start breaking down your brand, your image that you represent, your personality, and start doing something different every day and consistently do it. Do not miss a day. And I repeat, do not miss a day, because the moment you miss a day, then you just start being taken less seriously. And I get it, if you're sick or just not feeling well, at least put something out there. Always put something. If I'm sick or something, honestly, I don't even tell people that I am. I just put, make sure you watch my videos tomorrow, or make sure you come up with some creative ideas for what I'm about to do. Because I don't want people to really get affected by my sickness or my health. I don't want them worried about my health. Like, I'll be okay, I appreciate it, but I want you guys worried about the content that's going to be put out, because that's what I'm all about. I want to make sure the content's good for my fans, so... Yeah, I hope that answered.
It did. It's awesome because there's like a bunch of knowledge kind of like in there, and that's awesome. Especially, and it went to a bunch of different people, so you can be like someone like a music producer or whatever kind of business that you run. Just come up with a fun and unique idea and do something like a series. Like, I have a couple on mine. I have ones I'm not as consistent as you, like you, because yours have like the Guess That Movie Monday and stuff like that. But I do Snapchat Idol, so I try to do that at least once every couple of weeks, if not once a week, because it's something that people really enjoy. And then
it's a great series. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I find that a lot of people like to. I mean, I get so many people sing or like sending clips of singing, and then like just having people vote on them and having like the opportunity to be in my story is something that really a lot of people really enjoy. But yeah, I mean, even if you're just coming home one day and you're like, I'm gonna cook something for dinner, Snapchat your cooking experience and call it like Cooking with John or Cooking with Casey or whatever your name is. I think that I'd watch that if it's entertaining. Honestly, if anything's entertaining and it's like on Snapchat, I'm on there like at night for probably about like an hour and a half just watching stories. So do it. Just do it. If you're on Snapchat and you're trying to figure out content to make, just do it. Come up with something interesting and or even weird and just jump into it. So
absolutely, 100% agree.
Talked about a couple tips. We're getting to like, I guess, the little harder part of the Q&A, and that would be favorite people to watch on Snapchat. I know there's a crazy amount of people on Snapchat that are making amazing content. A lot of our friends. I don't want anybody to feel like left out if he doesn't like say anyone's name. But just some of your favorite people to watch on Snapchat, entertaining people, funny people, people that are making like just great Snapchat content in general. Who do you like?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, Aaron, I'm a huge fan of you. So not to be a brown nose or anything, but you're honestly one of the best new Snapchatters to come out on the scene.
Thank you.
You've been making huge waves in the community, and from our collab that we did about a month ago, like that was awesome. And
Really
since then,
that, man.
yeah, well, it's I'm honest, I'm from the heart here, man. You're awesome. Keep on doing what you're doing. Danny Burke, awesome guy, super energetic. Taylor Nikolai, good personal friend of mine too. Him and I went to high school together, so. Him and I go way back. We used to actually be in a band together. So Taylor Nikolai.
I haven't heard that story, but we'll have to bring out some old videos.
Yeah, we actually won the Battle of the Bands together.
Okay.
He's got a bunch of our old band content on his YouTube channel. You should check it out.
Excellent. I will check that out as soon as we're done with this video.
Who else? Oh gosh, there's so many to name. Wisemex, Six Mike Films, pretty much everyone who I hung out with down at South by, Opera Americano, Celia Snap, Turban Chino's hilarious, Decalix, M. Platko, Sean Duras. I mean, pretty much anyone who's like anyone in the Snapchat community. I'm sorry if I missed anyone else. I know I probably missed a bunch of people. Cyrene Q, of course. I mean, she's like the queen of Snapchat. Jeannie can breathe. Greg Weiss is pretty funny.
He is. It's in his like I don't know, like his storytelling style is very unique. I think that's what like kind of draws me to him. And it's also really because if you guys know who Greg Weiss is, he does a lot of social media stuff for MasterCard. And it's like it's really cool to see like some of those people that are working for these companies like MasterCard or Fever or for like Mashable and like companies like that. It's really cool to see them kind of like take a step back from like that MasterCard role and just kind of show themselves. And I think that's like one of the biggest parts of Snapchat. It's like it makes people, you can find the like behind the scenes of their lives and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Who else did I miss here? Tristan Tales, he's a great guy. He's doing some really cool things. Rhodes 411. I'm actually looking at my list right now. Make sure I didn't miss anyone. Mets 044. He did an awesome UFC story a couple weeks ago, and he does a bunch of hilarious corgi snaps. Brendan Harvey, he's awesome. Probably one of the nicest guys I've met in the social media world. I mean, everyone's super great and nice, of course. He's really one of the top nice guys for sure.
I found out about him first on Instagram, I think.
Yeah, he's huge on there.
Yeah, and then like kind of like that's almost on the time when I was at the beginning of my Snapchat, like getting into Snapchat, and it was like he was one of the people, and he's like, "Hey, check out my Snapchat." And I think he was probably one of the first ones that I followed on there.
Yeah, he's great.
But yeah, so many amazing people. Like
so
it's
many.
Just, like if
sorry
if
I missed anyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want
I
like we're like friends with these guys, so it's like we can't. If we miss one person, I mean, we love all of you, so hopefully no hard feelings if we forgot like one or two names.
M. Garber, one last guy there.
Evan, there you go. I was like, who is this last person that I know we're missing?
Frank Edana, I mean, I'm literally looking through my list right now. Hunter Harrison.
All those
Gosh,
guys.
all these guys are just awesome. Yeah, I think I hit most of them here for the most part.
Now we'll have to like give them a personal shout out or something.
Snape Chats is one of my personal favorites. Yep. Snape Chats is hilarious. The 11 Second, of course. Gosh, yeah. The Drink and Getting guys, those guys are hilarious.
From Austria.
Guys are,
Giorgio Copter.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He is awesome.
He has a very original drawing style, if you will. But yeah, all those guys are awesome. I'm not going to put everyone down in the description because that's like a lot of people. But if you just go to snapchat.codes, you can go to their website. Literally all of them are going to be on there, and they're coming up. I don't know if they have a project going. I don't know if it's a secret project, so I'm not going to say too much about it. But I will be making a video about that in the coming weeks. But before we kind of like wrap this up, Kyle, producer KCM, love having you on here, man. But I know we talked about like all these other tips and stuff. But I just wanted to get one. So if you could give one tip to somebody, literally, if you were only to like, let's say you met up with someone and they're like, tell me one tip about Snapchat that is going to help me throughout the entire like time of me using Snapchat, and that was the only thing you were allowed to tell them, what would you tell them for your ultimate Snapchat tip?
Sure, yeah. Be yourself. Absolutely. As cliche as that is, Snapchat's
I feel like I say the same
being
thing.
Yourself. That's what it's all about, you know? And, you know, if you're not yourself, people can tell. People know, especially friends and family, you know? Because those are the people that you're probably going to start doing stories for when you first start off. And then if your content's really good, it's going to start, you know, going viral, and people are going to start adding you from word of mouth. And then you are going to start sharing your Snapcode ID and your Snapchat URL on all their social networks. Then you're just going to start getting blown up. And then the bigger you get, the more authentic you have to be as well, because, you know, you want to show people your true inner self. And that's what life is all about. And Snapchat, excuse me, is just a what's the word I'm looking for here? Just a platform.
Like a medium, to show who you are.
Exactly. It's, you know, it's an instrument to show your personality, and you know, if you can find out the right ways to tell the world what you're all about, then that will hopefully make the world a much better place. So another cliche for you.
I mean, it's literally
I love all the cliches.
A lot of people like ask me the same thing, and like I feel like that's the most important answer. Like, being yourself is going to be better than doing anything. Forcing content is never a good thing. But I mean, be yourself, guys. It should be the easiest thing, and your content will come out a whole lot better because you're not forcing yourself to be somebody else that you're not, and it's just overall it's going to be a whole lot better.
Absolutely. And I guess one last thing, Taylor Nikolai actually told me this. He's a huge professional in the social media industry, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, if this is secret knowledge, but the best advice he gave me was, if you truly care about the content you're putting out, like like you actually care about it deep down inside, kind of what we've been talking about, and then chances are other people are gonna care about it too. You know, other people are gonna see that you care about it, or that you think it's funny, or you think it's entertaining, or you think it's interesting. Then other people are gonna probably think that too. They're gonna mirror exactly what you're thinking, essentially. And if you can do that, that's awesome, because then you'll be great at what you do on Snapchat. So
it's a good little hopefully it wasn't like super top secret knowledge, but that's a good point. Excellent.
So thank Taylor.Nicolai for that one there.
Yeah,
So
and
that's
we
definitely
actually
helped me out a lot.
he was one of the first person that I had an interview on here. So this is going to be a new series, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video. So somewhere on the screen, as well as in the description, we'll have like a previous and then next video for the one that I put out next week, or whenever the next interview does come out. But Kyle, producer KCM, great guy over on Snapchat, and I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on here. I know we've been on here for about 25 minutes. For the people that are still watching, hopefully all of you, I'm going to go ahead and give Kyle the mic once more here at the end and kind of give everyone just where they can find you, all your social media. Go for it, man.
Aaron FPS, aka Break the Internet, aka Aaron. Thank you so much for having me on your amazing YouTube channel. You guys can all find me on Snapchat at ProducerKCM. There's my snap code in one of the areas here.
Somewhere. It's gonna be
wherever you're gonna put it. Feel free to add me on there. Otherwise, all my other social media networks are my first and last name, Kyle Coughlin. And they're also going to be on the screen somewhere on here too. I'll give them to you, Aaron, here in a second. But so producer KCM on Snapchat, and then Kyle Coughlin on all of my other social networks, usually with a period in between or an underscore. Yeah, thank you again, everyone. I appreciate it. Please add me on the Snapchatties. I appreciate it. Aaron, thank you again. Thank you for taking time out of your day to conduct this amazing interview. Appreciate it, and thank you all for watching. You guys are all awesome, beautiful, and I appreciate it, so thank you.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. One of the first interviews here for the brand new series. Hope you guys do enjoy it. Kyle Coughlin, aka producer KCM, aka one of the most energetic guys that I've met in person as well as on the internet. Super great guys, or super great guy, guys. All his information will be in the description as well as on screen here. One of the corners, we'll pick one of those. But anyway, guys, of course, hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe. This is Break the Internet, your #1 stop shop for everything you need to know about Snapchat, tips, tricks, and updates, and basically everything. So, as always, guys, hope you all have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Thanks, guys. Thank you.